Hello everyone. Alright, so today we are going to be doing some macrame, which is interesting because I've never done it before. So I actually have a kit here. This is sort of a beginner wall hanging. I think it's from Hobby Lobby. I don't remember though. And yeah, so we're gonna try it. I have no idea how long this is gonna take or if I'm even gonna be able to do it. But yep. Here we go. I guess step one is to read the instructions, as one does. Let me pull over my second camera so I can actually show you all this. Here we go. Alright. So I have this wall hanging. It looks like we have a dowel, cord, and these instructions. I actually already opened this package before because I wanted to make sure that I didn't need anything that I didn't have. But here we go. So it says cut eight 72-inch cord lengths, cut 752-inch cord lengths, set those pieces aside, fold 2 longer lengths in half and attach each to the dowel center with a lark's head knot, which I guess is on another page. Yeah, I don't really understand what this is saying, but we're gonna improvise. So, here's the lark's head knot that it was talking about. Overhand knot, diagonal half hitch knot. Yeah. But I guess we're not reading through all the instructions first because I don't know what they're talking about. So we're just gonna go step by step. Here's the dowel. Just gonna put it over here. Here is the cord. All this. They call it cord. I would call it rope. It's a really small rope, but. So we're gonna need 72 inches, 8 of those. Okay, well, I have this big ruler, so this is 24. 24, so then this is 48. I really hope there's enough of the rope here. 48, 72, is this 72? It's 24 times, I think it is. Let me check the math. 24 times 3, yeah, 72. So, I cut this right here-ish. And this is one of the 72, and I'm just going to put it over here where you can't see it, but. And then we'll do, I guess, a few more of these. 8 of them. So that's 1. Here's 2. And this is already turning into a mess. It's okay, I'll just do what I do with my yarn whenever I'm trying to like knit or something and throw it all on the floor and worry about it later. Here's 3. Here's 4. It'd be nice if this came pre-cut. Because boy am I making a mess of this. Okay. I think this is like 5 or 6. I guess I need to count them because I lost track because I was untangling this aggressively tangled cord. One, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Yeah. So this is going to be number 6. So much rope, and it's all messed up. That's okay. I can always untangle it later. Even though later apparently means now, because I don't think I can get another one out of this. Oh, maybe I can. Perfect. I'm gonna leave one more 72-inch. So I'm just gonna kind of pull this apart, and hopefully that fixes the problem. At least enough for me to get this last one. Then we'll need some 52-inch ones. I'm actually gonna trim this end because it's all unraveling. Okay. That's 8 72-inch ones. And now I need 7 52-inch long ones. Whatever. Okay. So if this is 72, then 52 is 20 inches shorter. So that would be here at the 4-inch mark. And I hope I'm doing my math right, because otherwise this might turn out to be a disaster. But that's okay, because it's a problem for later. That's 1, here's 2. Good. 3. And now the rope has tangled itself. There's a little knot here, so we'll just untie this. There we go. 4. It's knotted again. It was so neat and tidy when I took it out of the bag, and now it's not. Okay, here we go. I really should be using real scissors for this, but I'm too lazy to get them out, so. 6. And the last one, finally. 7. There we go. Okay. Put this down. So hopefully need that ruler or these little clippers ever again in my whole life. And we have a bunch of extra rope that I'm just going to throw on the ground because I don't want to find somewhere to put it right now. Alright, so now the instructions say set those 7 pieces aside. So these are the shorter ones. We're putting over here where you can't see them, but that's okay, they're there. And it says fold 2 longer knots in lengths in half and attach each to the dowel center with a lark's head knot. So at this point we're going to go over to here again. Oh, that camera is out of focus. There we go. Alright, so here are the longer knots down this side. So we're going to need 2 of these. Longer knots. Longer. I'm going to make that mistake this entire time. Longer cords. We're going to fold these in half. So here's one of them. And then the other one. It's going to grab the ends, put them together. There we go. And then wants me to attach each to the dowel center with a lark's head knot, which is this one. So I guess this is about the center. Backwards. So it wants it like this. Now I pull it down through. Okay, there's one. And then here's the other one. And yeah, I think that's about the middle. A little more that way. But yeah, that's close enough. Okay, step 1. Done. Number 2, using the second cord from the left as the filler cord, tie 2 diagonal half-hitch knots to the right. Use the filler cord to tie a lark's head knot on the dowel, adjusting and tightening the knot as you tie it. I have no idea what that's talking about, but that's okay. Because, which one is it saying to do? Diagonal half-hitch knot. That's this one. I cannot tell what is happening. Okay, so it looks like we take this one here, and then we put this one behind it, and then it goes over like this, I think. Maybe? I don't know if this is what it's supposed to look like or not, but that's okay. And then the next one over, we do the same thing. Put this one Goes like that, I guess. And then one more, like this. And then says, I guess we take this one, loop it forward and then back down like this. And then we go back and through like this. Yeah, that looks about right. Then it says to attach a new long cord on the dowel. So I take this one, do the same thing. I really hope I'm doing all this right. So that goes like this. There we go. And that looks about right, I guess. Looks kind of weird compared to theirs, but I guess that's fine. Okay, step 4. Using the second cord from the right as the filler cord, tie 2 diagonal half hitch knots to the left. Add a shorter cord to the filler cord with a cow hitch knot, which is the opposite of the lark's head knot. Tie the last 2 diagonal half hitch knots to the left. Eh? Okay, it says tie 2 diagonal half hitch knots to the left. Oh, I think I did this one wrong. So it sounds like they never told me what a filler cord is. Okay, hang on, let me redo this. Because I think I messed it up. It doesn't quite look like the diagram, and I think I used the wrong thread as the thread that everything goes through. I think it wants this one to be the one that goes over, and I was using this one. So I'm going to flip over to the diagram again. So I think it wants this. And this one. What? Yeah. And then this one. I don't know if that looks any different. But I'm not changing it again, so this is what we've got. Is it tight enough? Okay, it's fine. And then I'm gonna redo this part where it wants me to go over, and then back through, and then over, and then down through. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. And we're gonna add this long cord again. And I suspect we're just gonna keep adding them and then doing the same thing over and over again. This one. Okay, and then it wants me to do the same thing, but a little bit different. So this one is going to be the one I think that goes through. And it wants, I guess this is the opposite, so over and through. And then over and through. I think I'm doing it right, but I feel like I'm doing it wrong. And then, okay. It says to do 2, but the diagram definitely shows 3. So I'm going to go over and then through again, over here. And then it wants to add a shorter cord, which is one of these from the other side, with a cow hitch knot, which looks like it's just this, where it comes up instead of down to attach, I guess. And then do the last 2, drag them off, then we go over and through like we did before. There we go. And through. This definitely looks weird, but okay. Now use the fill cord to tie the same thing. So we go over and then through. And then back and then through. Okay, well it is actually starting to look like something, which is way better than I thought it would be. And then actually not to attach along. Okay, and then same thing where we add a new long cord. I am beginning to sense a pattern. Alright, and then it says, using the second card from the left, tie more knots, add another shorter cord. Then repeat steps 2 and 3 until you do a total of 8 rows. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. So we use this thing, it goes up and down. I need some way to like anchor this up so I don't have to keep like holding it while I'm working on it. It keeps trying to fall down. Let me see if I can do that, because I bet I can. I just have this string lying around, so I'll, I guess, tie some over here on this end. And then I'll give it like this much space. There we go. And then I will loop it around the leg of my the riser I basically use for my computer. And we'll tie it off about here. That should at least help to anchor it a little bit. Okay, so now we do this one. Now we do this one. So it goes behind and then over like this. And this one behind and over and through. And then over and through. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think we have one more. Yeah. And then behind. And then over and through. And then here it wants me to add another smaller one. This way. If I'm doing this right, which I'm not sure I am, then I think I'm getting the hang of this. There we go. Behind and then over and through. And then behind and over and through. And behind and over and through. This keeps knocking the thing out of alignment. And then the last one, behind, over, through. Like that. Now, I don't know if you can see this very well, but we do have sort of some rows developing, which is nice. Happy about that. And then, oh, that just loosened everything, which I don't think is what I want. But, okay. Now we're gonna tie the thing over and then through and then back and then through. That's not right. not sure what I did that time that was different than the time before, but it looks better now, so that's what matters. Okay. So I'm not sure should be on this side. Okay. And now we're sort of here. We just did this side, so we're going to add another one. Over here. That's backwards. There we go. And then we just kind of keep going, I guess. So this is going to go back, over, through. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. Me. I bet if I twisted this a little bit, it would help to not spin so much. Just give a little bit of friction. Okay, back, over, through. At this point, you know the deal. Wait, no. Back, over, through. Okay. Back, over, through. I have to keep saying this, otherwise I will forget. So much harder than it should be. Okay, and now we add a smaller one because this is halfway. Go, and then back, over, through, back, over, through, back, over, through, back, over, through. I feel kind of bad. I had some funny stories to share from some stuff that happened recently. But now all that's going through my head is back, over, through, back, over, through, back, over, through. Okay, now we do the thing where it goes over and through. And then behind and through. This is so much harder than it looks. Maybe it's just because I don't know what I'm doing and this is the first time I'm trying, but actually that probably is why. But wrong way, goes this way. Let's hide this. Oh boy, here we go again. It's kind of funny, this, one of the first things it says on the instructions is, welcome to the relaxing and creative world of fiber art. And first of all, this isn't very relaxing, this is quite stressful. Back, over, through. And then second of all, I've actually done a lot of fiber arts, just not like this. Back, over, through. I'm so sure Like, I think I'm doing it right, but I think I said this already. I think I'm doing it right. I don't feel like I'm doing it right. Now I don't even have to say it. I'm just thinking it over and over again. Every single one. Back, over, through. I think that's halfway. I think I switched these two. Yeah, let me pull these apart and redo them. Yeah, it should be this one first. So I think I already told the story of when I introduced my dog to some sheep. Because we have a friend who has some sheep. And... nope, this way. And, we walked up to them, we approached slowly so they wouldn't be frightened. And once we got close enough, they sort of sniffed each other. And then the white sheep tried to headbutt my dog. Back, over, through. And it was very funny. And I thought it was kind of like a one-off thing, like, oh, they're getting to know each other, or the sheep thought he was being rude or whatever. I'm not so sure about that now, though, because I recently took him to a sheep shearing of those same sheep. They our friends turned it into a whole party. It was a lot of fun. And as part of that, the sheep were in their pen, and they were being sheared, and the brown sheep that they have, I sort of took Faramir over and, to say hello again. And, the sheep sort of walks up to it, and they go to, almost, sniff each other again. But suddenly the sheep just, lunges forward and tries to headbutt my dog. And, yeah, and then he got sort of startled by that because he was not expecting it. But then, a little bit later, he was being more cautious because he almost got hit in the snoot by this sheep. But then later they were sort of nearby again, and the sheep tried to headbutt him again. Thankfully he was being more cautious, so the sheep was not anywhere near actually hitting him. The first time I thought the sheep might have actually gotten him, but I don't think it did. But apparently, and then the sheep shearer told us that after sheep are shorn, if they get their hair cut, they will actually butt heads, with each other, I guess to establish the pecking order or something, because they don't recognize each other after they've been shorn. So after they've had their haircut, they don't recognize each other. It's like the opposite of the boyfriend who doesn't notice the difference when his girlfriend gets her haircut, but it's the opposite because they don't recognize each other once their hair gets cut, which is very funny. But I'm pretty sure it's just further evidence that the sheep think my dog is a sheep, because I think if they thought he was like a wolf or something, they would not have tried to headbutt him. They would have run away or something. But yeah. So he definitely thinks that they're dogs, and they definitely think as far as I can tell, they definitely think he's a sheep. And there's just a little cultural miscommunication between those species that happened there. It was very funny. And then a little while ago, there was a rabbit in our backyard, so when I took the baby out to go outside in the morning, he sees this rabbit, and he just goes after this rabbit, and he just chases it off, and it runs off sort of away from where he considers to be his territory, and he stops chasing the rabbit because it's gone off his land, and then he kicks up a leg and he just pees right where he is to let that rabbit know that he's in charge of this land, that this is his territory, because I'm pretty sure that he thinks that that sheep was a dog, because I'm pretty sure that he thinks that anything that has 4 legs is a dog. This is over, around, over, through. Okay, here we go. Wait, what? That isn't right. Okay, so this is the one that's going to like this. There we go. I don't know how that was different from the first thing I tried, but that one worked and the first one didn't, so I guess I did it right the second time. This is so much better now that I'm doing it for the whatever time. So that was very funny. He scared off that vicious rabbit. Protected us all from the bunny. He's such a silly dog. He's on a walk right now with my mom, but he should be back soon. Go. Oh, this is going so much faster. I'm so happy about it. I'm still pretty sure I'm doing it wrong, but you know, at least I'm doing it wrong and fast. Okay, now we add one of these. This goes like this. Go. Okay. Now, over. Okay. Now, over, through. Over, through. Okay. And now for this part. Okay. Over and through. And then back and through. Yay! Alright, now I think, yeah, this is the last long thread thing that I have. Okay, so now we go back, over, through. Yay. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. It's like learning to ride a bike backwards every time I switch directions on these, because it's like you're kind of working in the opposite direction. another shorter one. I think we have an extra short one though, because maybe I was supposed to add one on that first set, but I don't think it told me to. So there we go. An interesting sort of effect of this is that the threads in the middle seem to be shorter than the threads on the outside, which is fairly obvious when you think about it, because the threads in the middle are getting knotted a lot more than the threads on the outside. Okay, now we go over and through. And then back and through. There we go. And that is the last of these that we have. Last of the long threads. I don't know if theirs is a lot looser than mine, but theirs seems to take up a lot more of the dowel than mine does. The next step is for the hanger, pull the outermost left and outermost right cords to the back and upward, tie an overhem knot about 7.5 inches above the dowel, trim the ends as desired, and then it has the fringe. I wonder, because it has all this extra, I wonder if I could do like another row. Because I just feel like it's kind of small on the dowel. And if for one more, and I have enough for another long cord, but not for another long and short cord, so we're gonna have to just stick with one. And I think that will be okay, because I don't think it's, you know, I think as we're going back and forth, it's not gonna unbalance it too much, if at all. So, this is wrong. This needs to go back this way, and then through. That was reversed. Okay, here we go. That's better. And now we're gonna add one more long one that I just made. And then we're gonna do the same thing. So back, over, down, back, over, down, back, over, down. I think that's, no, that's not the middle. That's nowhere near the middle. The middle is over here. This is the one we just added. Oh, excuse me. Nope, that's not that one. This one is next. Over, down. And the last one. Okay. That looks much better than it did with one less. And now I guess we tie this into a knot so that it matches the other side. So, no, front and then through. And then back and then through. Okay. And here we are. Alright, now I guess that's pretty much done. And then we need to do the hanger part of it. I will say a lot of these threads are very, very long. Like I'd say they're much longer than they need to be. Like I think we could have gotten like another row out of it if we had cut them all to 54 instead of cutting some to 74. I don't think we need those extra 20 inches on a lot of them. But yeah, let's see. Like I think this is probably the maximum length that you would really need, and then we have all this extra over here. I wonder if I could get another row. So I wouldn't mind doing that if I could. But just take some of the longest ones, which are these two, cut off about, no, that won't be long enough. Oh well. Actually, if we could, I'm not able to do one more. Use this. to be this long. We'll just half it. Yeah. I can get 2 more out of it. There we go. Alright, now I'm gonna half it, and we're gonna put it through like this. We're gonna do exactly what we've done before. Back, over, through. Theoretically, this should be long enough. Yeah. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. Over, through. Back, over, through. Over, through. Back, over, through. Over, through. And at this point, we need another sort of shorter section, so I'm just going to take like one of the longest ones here, which is this one. It's pretty long, and I'm going to cut it about here. Fold it in half, tie it on. Now onward. And then we tie this, so we go over and through. And then back Alright, and I also think that improves it. So this one is still pretty long. I think we can do one more. And then we might have to do something creative for the actual tie, because I don't think if this is the longest, then, I mean, it's not really going to reach with the other one. But that's okay, because we have plenty of extra thread, and we can, you know, on the ends of these extremely long pieces of rope that are all going to get cut off anyways. So I think we're going to do one more. And that's going to start on this side. And hopefully it doesn't end too short. Go back. And then pull this through. And then same old, same old. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. Over, through. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. Back, over, through. Back, and this is halfway, so we're going to need another shorter-ish option. Oh my goodness, what is happening over here? Did this get used twice? No. It just didn't get tightened properly, I think. Yeah. Okay, we'll just pull this through. Fix that. That's better. Okay, so this is the shortest piece that we have. I'm going to measure it, see how long it is, and then just start trimming all the other ones to be the same shortness. This is 5 inches, so let me get some real scissors for this. Getting real tired of using these little snippers. Five inches. This is 5 inches. Yep. This is 5 inches, and as long as this one is 10, we can just use this one for the center. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just use this one. Now this one, as we go over, and then just to make sure, we'll measure it. And that's 5 inches right there, so it's plenty long enough. Okay, and onward. Back, over, through. 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 And here's the last one. So we're gonna go, I always have to check this because it confuses me every time. So you go over and through, and then back and through. And there we go. Okay, so here's the body of it. It's done. And it got a lot closer to the edges than it did before I added all those. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see how far we are from the edge on each side to make sure it's centered. 1 3/4. 1 1/2. So scoot everything over a little bit this way. 1 1/2 and a little. 1 1/2 and a little. Okay. So that's that centered. And now I'm not gonna try and do the hanger thing with this. I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna start by trimming everything down to 5 inches. This can't really do anything with, but hopefully some of these will be long enough to work with. this is taking so long. It's okay. Okay. Now these are all trimmed down. Here's what it looks like. Now I need to do the actual hanger part. And I do have an idea for that. But to do that, I need to identify which ones of these are the longest, which one of these did I cut off. So some of these are definitely not winners, but some of them are in the running. And we need the 4 longest. So right now that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to put all these others to the side because it's too many to hold. And then all the other ones are going to measure up against these 4. And we're going to see if we have anything longer than any of them. So here are the longest 4 again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything else is going to go up against those. Okay, here are our winners. These 4, and I think they will be long enough. I hope. So what we're going to do is we're going to take them, and I'm going to have to flip this over like this, I guess. And then I'm going to take them, and we're going to tie them on backwards, basically, because these are going to go up, not down. Okay, And then going at this angle, we're going to go ahead and do a 4-strand braid. So this is hard to keep this in where it is. I'm going to get my little weight. Okay. Here we go. It's a rock. But, yep. So over, and then we do, what do I do? Okay, so twist, middle, 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 twist, twist. And that's as much space as we have on these. So we're going to go ahead and I want to clamp them. I don't want to tie them right now. So no, what if I want paper clips? It's fine. I'll just tie these ones together, which should give it a little bit of support. Okay, now we'll do the other side. And the exact same thing. So, twist, this time we're going sort of in this direction. This rock is really not holding it in place very well. Maybe if I like stick it over here on this edge to stop it from spinning so much. It's kind of working. Okay. Now I kind of have these like sections that I'm going to tie together. So I'll start with these two. If they'll stay together well enough. And we're going to take these two and do exactly the same thing. So. Do it like alright. Well, it looks kind of goofy. I might redo these these to get them to work a little better. At this point, I'm just kind of tightening everything, trying to convince it to stay. And some of these knots are probably unnecessary, but I really don't want this falling apart. Alright, and then I'm going to trim these down to, like, just a frizz. Don't want to cut all the way down to the knots, because then they'll become unstable. But it's kind of got a knot monster at the top. But hey, I think it will hold it, so. Alright, and then, now that we have a way to hang it, it wants me to take a fork and sort of mess all of these things up and sort of frizz them out. I have forks downstairs, but I wonder if I can just do it with my hands. Because these do like to unravel, as I learned while trying to tie them into knots. It's interesting. Usually you get 2-strand ropes, but these appear to be 3-strand, which are a little less common as far as I'm aware. Alright, well. My dad has been redoing our back deck, which means every time I take my dog out, I have to go through the garage, because we can't use the back door, because the back door leads to the deck, and right now the deck is kind of not existent. I mean, the frame of it's still kind of there, but it's harder to walk on that, especially I think for the dog. It'll be a little bit challenging. So every time I take him out, I have to use the garage door, and he just thinks it's the greatest adventure. It's like, oh my gosh, it's a new door. We never get to use this door. I bet it leads somewhere very exciting. And it does. It leads to the backyard. I need to take him back to the dog park. It's been a while since we went. The last time we went was early October, I believe. and he loves the creek there, especially in the summer, because it gets him all wet, and then he doesn't overheat as much. So it's kind of like, it's nice for him that way. But I took him over in early October, and he runs in, and he runs down to the creek, and he gets his little footsies wet in the creek, and then he kind of stops, and he turns around and comes back, because I guess it was too cold for him to want to be in the creek. But still walked him around the dog park, and that was kind of fun. It was very, very amusing. The other thing that dog park has is some agility stuff in it. So it has like some little dog agility stuff and some big dog agility stuff, and one of them is like this big, basically a ramp that goes up and then it pivots at the very top and then it goes back down. And we can get him to go up on that, but there's another one that's a bunch of platforms that the dog's supposed to jump between the platforms, and he does not understand what he's supposed to do for that one. He'll jump up on the first one, and then you try and tell him to go to the second one. He jumps off the first one, and then he just sort of stands up on his back feet and puts his front feet on the second platform. Like, I did it, I touched it. He doesn't quite get the idea, the sequence of it. But it is very cute. And then maybe a fork would have been easier. It's okay, I'll do it afterwards. I want to make sure it gets like all the way unraveled, because I'm a bit of a completionist like that. Anyways, I'm glad it turned out pretty well. I mean, I was half sure that I would have to like give up on it because I wouldn't be able to get it to work at all. But I actually did get it to work, kind of, so. Still not sure if I did it right, but it looks okay-ish. The example has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 9 rows. I have 11, but that's okay. It fills out the dowel, and that was what I was most concerned about. I didn't want to leave a bunch of empty space at the ends of the rod. I feel like that just makes it kind of look disproportional. I have another macrame kit that I want to try probably later next year. I have a whole schedule planned out for all of 2026. It's on there somewhere. But it's not one sort of item, it's a series of like banners, which look pretty cute on the example. I might have the same issue where it doesn't quite fill out the dowels, which I think are part of the kit, but I don't remember exactly. I also have some latch hook kits. I think one of those is next week. But those are kind of fun. And then I have some more like fabric stuff, some embroidery, some cross stitch, some knitting. Not really knitting, it's loom knitting. I have some sort of issue with my hands that I developed at some point where I can't really feel pressure in my fingertips. So knitting is really hard because a lot of it you have to have the right amount of tension on the string, and I can't feel how much tension is on the string. So that's kind of difficult. but I can do loom knitting, so I think one of the weeks is that. I have some wood stuff, some boxes, and like it's a tray that I'm gonna decorate. I have some art stuff, like colored pencils and painting, watercolors, yeah, and then a few other things. I have some leather working, not really leather working, more like leather crafting things. Leather working, I believe, is more of the carving, and I don't want to be using a hammer in my house to do that because it's absurdly loud. So no leather sculpting, no leather stamping, but I do have some leather templates to make things. So I'll be doing some of that. I'm looking over at it because I have everything on the same shelf for all of next year. That's pretty much it. In December, I'll be doing some advent calendars, so I'll be streaming pretty much every day, and I'm excited for that. And then of course I'll compile them into videos for YouTube. So I'm really excited for next year because I have everything already planned out and I know what I'm going to do, and I feel pretty confident about it. Same thing goes for the educational streaming I do on YouTube on Wednesdays. I have everything planned out for what I'm going to talk about which day. I still need to make the outlines for those streams and come up with all the materials to use, but at least I know what I'm making materials for, which is nice. The 2026 is looking like an exciting year. Lots of fun stuff. Just unraveling all of this thread. We're past the halfway mark at least, which is good. Went on a nice hike recently over in I don't know exactly, it's towards Castle Rock, I think, but it's a trail, and I think we actually did the wrong trail because it didn't lead us where I thought it would, but we got on this trail and we're walking along, we go under a bridge, and then there's just a random screwdriver, like a battery powered handheld screwdriver off to the side of the trail, and I was like, do we take it with us? Do we leave it? I mean, it's right on the edge of like a working farm. So, I mean, presumably it belongs to someone who works on that farm. Like, I feel like if we move it, then they're never going to be able to find it if they come back for it. Which it seems weird that they wouldn't. So we ended up leaving it there, and I'm still not sure if that was the right decision or not. Because on the one hand, I mean, it is kind of, it's kind of littering to have something like that left there, even though we didn't put it there. But, like, on the other hand, it does belong to someone, and it feels kind of like, you don't take things that belong to somebody else. So, it was kind of funny. There was also a glove on one of the posts that we passed, which was kind of goofy. Just one glove, like, it was like one of those like metal posts that has like the wire, and somebody just like stuck the glove on top of the post. It was silly looking, but the trees were very pretty because it was later October, so they were sort of turning. They had some nice colors. It was a nice walk. Not too far away either, which was good. Although as an American, my idea of not too far away is basically less than an hour, so. When we were in Europe, in Italy, we took a bunch of trains. Those did take quite a while, but a lot of the places we went we could get to pretty fast. And we could walk there. We could walk a lot of places too. I really wish American cities and American suburbs were more walkable. It's kind of sad that you can't just walk to a store to get like some fruit or vegetables or whatever in most cases. And you can't like walk to a bus station to go where you want to go. I think that would be one of the benefits of living in Europe, is that public transportation is really their thing, which kind of makes sense because their roads are tiny, and a lot of them, if they have cars, they have really small cars because the parking spaces are tiny and the roads are tiny, and it's just not a great place to have a big car. So especially in Rome, there were a bunch of just absolutely itsy bitsy little, I think they were all EV cars, which I believe is actually quite dangerous, but they were certainly adorable, so it's a trade-off. And then a lot of scooters, especially in the cities. So that was fun. Never rode in any of them. That seemed like a death trap, but yeah. And then, and when I say scooters, they're scooters, but they're not the kind that we see here in the States. They're almost like a mix between a scooter and a road bike, where they kind of have the seat of a scooter and like the format, but they're bigger and they, I think, go faster, and they're really meant for road travel. They're not toys, they're transportation. And they did have some trucks, but they were mostly, and some cars, but they were mostly smaller and mostly for industrial uses. Also, when we were in Rome, they had a bunch of like police or security or whatever people, and they had like these tiny little rifles. And I thought they were toys or like models, but I think they're real. So that was kind of goofy. I guess it was like their election year and like tensions were higher or whatever. So there was like increased security in the cities and stuff. We never had any issues, but it was there. And there was a bunch of graffiti everywhere, especially in, I think, the Greek islands. They had a lot of graffiti. Also in Italy, and I didn't see as much in Montenegro, probably because we were in like the more historical area and they didn't allow as much there. But yeah, we do have a lot of unemployed youth, I believe, in Europe, which is probably why there's so much graffiti. It's a correlation, not necessarily the only reason why that would happen, but you know, when kids are bored, they find ways to entertain themselves. When I'm bored, I mostly watch YouTube, but alright, and I think that's the last one unraveled now. I don't see any on the back. So I'm just going to use my hands and kind of comb through it a little bit. I really feel like I should use maybe not a fork. I feel like a fork isn't close enough. Let me grab a brush though. Okay, here we go. So this is the comb and the brush I use for my dog. I'm going to try the brush first, and if that causes too many issues... Oh no, this is working perfectly. So that's nice. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and take some scissors to this shape of it and try and get this a little bit more rounded. I don't want it like super perfect because I want it to be kind of organic. I think this needs a little more taken off. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. And now we can cut off this. Go. Okay, and here we have it, the finished product. I think it looks pretty good, actually. I was thinking about putting some watercolors on it to give it some color, but I actually think it looks pretty nice the way it is. And here's all the leftover rope that we had. Not sure what I'm gonna do with this, but I might figure something out, or I might throw it away. We'll see. And here is the example that they had compared to, that's backwards, what I got. So I think it looks pretty similar, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I'm glad it turned out so well. I'm glad it didn't turn out to be a complete disaster. And that is going to be about it for today. It was almost 2 hours to get this thing done, but that's okay, it was the first time. So I think we're going to call it here. Thank you so much for watching, and if you see Sydney,